millions of voters will get their last chance on Thursday to cast a ballot before the general election. Around 2,600 councillors will be elected in 107 local authorities across England. Labour are expected to make gains, and some polls predict that the Conservatives could lose around half the seats they're defending. There will also be elections for 10 metro mayors, mostly in the Midlands or north of England. And in addition, across all of Wales and almost all of England, police and crime commissioners are up for re-election on the 2nd of May. Our Home Affairs correspondent Andy Davis has been to Dorset, where every council seat is being contested, and the Lib Dems are hoping to take control from the Conservatives.
Dorset. Every council seat in this vast, largely rural county is up for grabs next week, and the Lib Dems spy an opportunity to seize control from the Tories. The Conservatives, in turn, are so wary of the party's wider problems at Westminster. Their leader of the council recently urged Tory MPs to stay away, a position he tells me he's reconsidered.
But why were you saying stay away?
Because we were concerned about what the national picture like. I mean, the national picture at the moment, we all agree, could be better, couldn't it? And that applies to all parties, not just one party. It could be better.
I mean, some people are predicting the Conservative Party could lose hundreds of seats in these local elections, and that in turn could perhaps trigger a no-confidence vote in the Prime Minister.
I think the key thing I think it was Harold Wilson that coined the phrase, "a week's a long time in politics."
They go to the polls on Thursday. The Lib Dems, the second largest party in Dorset, have been buoyed by recent by-election successes in the southwest of England, once so characterised as a Lib Dem heartland.
Do you think you can topple the Tories?
I think we've got a very good chance of having a majority, and the people who know about these things are telling us the numbers on the doors are very positive.
Is there a risk of overconfidence here, that if there is a big anti-Tory vote, it could be split between a number of parties?
It could do, but historically, Lib Dems have done very, very well in Dorset.
What's the message from the Liberal Democrats here?
We're looking for a fairer deal for Dorset, both nationally and locally. We've got a huge housing crisis here. When you've got a mortgage multiplier of 12 times the average wage in Dorset, homes aren't affordable for most people here.
Dorset has an older than average population, so the cost of social care continues to rise. The message from the Tories here, as so many councils face financial pressures, they've managed relatively well.
If you look around, Dorset Council has had cut no services. We've used no reserves to balance budgets, which is almost unheard of around the country.
What's the message out there to voters from the Conservatives?
I think the key message for me is that why take the risk? You've seen what we've done. We've got a track record that we can stand on.
Whether the Tories can hold on to power in a council area like this is just one of many intriguing political contests about to play out next week. And what happens in this council, as elsewhere, is going to be watched extremely closely for what it might tell us about the public mood as a general election draws ever closer. Are you going to be voting in the local elections?
Of course, always do.
Is it local issues or national issues for you?
Well, local council, local issues really, isn't it?
National more than anything, I suppose.
What's going to influence the way you vote?
Two things, the economy and I suppose the policy on immigration and success with controlling the borders.
Waiting list with the NHS.
Yeah, housing. That is something that they've still not sorted out.
I've got one answer, and that's dustbins. There's no dustbins if you're not in a tourist part of town.
If no one secures an overall majority in Dorset, then some of the smaller parties could be pivotal in forming any new administration. For Dorset's Greens, the impact of climate change on coastal areas is all too evident, and the need to send a wider message in these elections urgent.
We know we're in a crisis. We've just had that, 2023 was the hottest year on record. The more Green councillors that are elected up and down the country sends out a signal to the largest parties that this is critical, this is perilous. Rather than scaling back their commitments to tackling climate change, they need to be ramping them up now.
The message from Labour in Dorset, council tax they argue is too high. Westminster needs to distribute local government funding more equitably.
We got the same issues as anywhere else in the country, housing, homelessness, but we're having to pay more for it. So we need to make sure that the council tax is dished out a little bit more fairly so that we can tackle the problems.
And where there are problems, those hoping to increase the presence of independent councillors on the authority point to failures of old party politics.
I think what's happened with some of the MPs and the ministers nationally has not gone down very well with the local people, which I think is why they're turning off from political parties to a degree. And I was only looking last night, and nationally there's quite a few independent MPs. You may see at the next election an increase in the number there, saying we've had enough of political parties.
Dorset is one of 107 councils holding elections on Thursday. The picture about to emerge across these pockets of the English electoral landscape, a timely, perhaps very significant, political barometer.